Good evening, everybody. I will call to order the August 1st, 2023, the Parks and Recreation Intergenerational Services Commission at 6:02 p.m. Let's go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Can I ask Brandy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and ask the clerk to call the attendance roll.
Okay. Chair Jans, Vice Chair Rosas,
Here.
Commissioner Ahmad, Commissioner Galvan, Commissioner Ramsey, Commissioner Hargrove, present. Commissioner Maldonado, alternate member Schatzel. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to item 1, general administration functions. Presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the Commission. The Commission is prohibited by law from discussing issues not on the agenda brought at them at this time. Moving on to consent agenda, consideration of approval of the minutes from June 6, 2023 regular meeting.
So we need a motion to approve, and then we need a second. Galvan, you second? Who second? Okay.
All right, all in favor? Perfect. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the regular agenda, the home run intern update presentation. Brandy, you have the floor.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight we're here today to share with you the experience of 2 of our home run interns that interned at the Recreation Center. And so I'll bring them up here in just a moment, but I did want to introduce them. Which one is it? So tonight we have Madhavi Hooks and Eden Perkins. Both are going to be juniors at River City High School. Madhavi is a cross-country runner, a track runner, as well as a basketball player. And Eden is part of the Majorettes, which is River City's dance team. So both of these individuals applied to be part of the home run internship. They went through an interview, and then they were selected, and they've gone through training, and then they had the option through, not option, but they had the opportunity through the home run program to attend multiple trainings every Wednesday. So they got to learn about leadership, they got to learn about employment. We got to teach them about the community, we got to take them around and really show the importance of what we do within Parks and Recreation. So now I would like to invite our fabulous interns up, and so they can share with you what they accomplished over the last couple of weeks.
So here are some of our programs. During childcare, we supervised and interacted with kids. This was one of my favorite youth programs.
During Clubhouse Rec, I worked on creating lesson plans, planning activities, and choosing art projects for the kids to do. I just interacted with them and played with them. We did fun workouts together. For Discovery Preschool, I shadowed Miss Hansen and we played with the kids. I used her lesson plans to create my own for Clubhouse Rec.
For Parents' Night Out, me and Madhavi would create a schedule and provide activities for the kids to do, including providing snacks. For Rec on the Move, that involved us bringing our recreation activities to the youth at Bright Park. And during rec room hours, I helped children and teens get harnessed and ready to rock climb.
For swim lessons, I shadowed instructors and helped kids learn swim strokes and skills. I participated in Parent and Me classes, which were really fun.
Some of the programs had the
So here's a list of some admin work that we did. But during the intern tour, we were able to meet other interns from the community center and city hall, while Brandy took us on a tour of parts of West Sac that the city is involved in, like all the parks.
For reorganization, we reorganized the cabinets, folded t-shirts, and cleaned out the childcare closet. For customer service, we made calls for the adult sports and sports camp programs at the rec center.
For the community outreach event, Brandy and I welcome residents for the Heritage Oaks Parks event involving new designs. People were able to ask us questions about the event and what it would be entailing.
Over the span of 4 weeks, we planned an open house for our rec room to advertise the current amenities offered and allow our local youth to offer their suggestions of improvements. We offered a survey targeted to 8 to 17-year-olds and asked for their input. We offered lots of fun activities along with food and refreshments.
The activities and amenities provided were slime making, a Mario Kart tournament, beading and coloring pages, a raffle, a snack bar, and rock wall climbing.
We met with our supervisors to get our youth survey approved. We shared our survey with the public at Recreation, Swim, and Sports Camp. We also put our flyers up at the rec center with QR codes so that we could catch passerbys' attention.
We also emailed over 2,000 pass holders information on the event and posted the information on stories and as a post on social media. And we also went shopping for food, craft supplies, and refreshment.
My favorite part about this internship was getting the opportunity to try new things and find new things that I liked and excel at. I especially loved spending time with infants and creating lesson plans for youth. I was captivated seeing different ways that kids think and communicate. Childcare and Clubhouse Rec were my two favorite programs because the kids were so sweet and we really got to know each other. I also loved feeling the pressure of recreation and quick decisions you must make. I found that I worked well with this pressure and was successfully able to host an open house despite all the challenges. This internship also helped me meet new people and open new opportunities for my future. I want to thank my mentors, Liz, Claudia, and Brandy, for giving me this truly special internship opportunity.
My favorite part about the internship was getting to experience the behind-the-scenes work of recreation and city work, which is fascinating to observe. I also enjoyed learning something new every day and that every day was different. I never felt as though the days were on a loop. Most of all, I love getting to know my supervisors and making friends in my workspace because friendships and relationships with people I'm around constantly are important to me, which builds a healthy and happy work environment. I also enjoyed spending time with infants and the youth during childcare and Clubhouse Rec, watching them learn, make friends, and even playing and hanging out with me. They were so sweet, and I also had a smile on my face in the childhood room. Overall, this was an amazing opportunity, and I'm very thankful I was chosen to experience it, thanks to my supervisors, Claudia and Brandy.
This internship has taught me so many lessons that it's hard to choose just one. The most prominent lesson I have learned would be how to work under pressure and how to manage stress. Working in recreation is very spontaneous work where you must produce ideas fast and solve problems even faster. When Eden and I hosted our open house, we were originally stressed out, But we soon saw that with a positive attitude and a growth mindset, we were able to make over 100 sandwiches in a short period of time and host an amazing event. From working with youth, I have also learned how to cater to the needs of a child and how to entertain kids. I have developed a lot of patience as well. I feel that my empathy has also drastically increased as I have seen that you can never judge a book by its cover. You should always be understanding, not judgmental. The list of things I have learned goes on, and I am so grateful to have had this experience.
A lesson that I would take with me after the internship would be to constantly try new things, even if you must leave your comfort zone, because that is the only way to learn new things and experience life. This internship allowed me to meet people in advertising, get interviewed for the first time, and introduce a presentation and much more. It truly benefited my abilities in oral communication. I also learned that when working in recreation, you must be fast in making decisions and working under pressure. Throughout this experience, I observed, listened, asked questions, and valued everything that I've learned. These are things I've learned during my internship. I'm very grateful for the opportunity because I know these skills are beneficial for future jobs and as I go through life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for our interns?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Okay. For either of you, you mentioned a lot of like learning patience. What was the most trying thing? Probably. I mean, you mentioned like being quick on your feet, making quick decisions. But what was the most thing you had to be most patient with, for both of you?
For me, I would say every week we'd run these programs with sports camp. We'd have to plan an activity and have like 30 kids in a room with only a few adults. That for me was really stressful because there was like so many kids, always something like the kids were asking, and there was only a few of us. That was probably the thing that I learned the most from, because you have to have patience and you have to.
I would say the same thing as well, because it was only me and Madhavi, and the other adults, we didn't have a lot of assistance, so we had to control all those kids, and there was 3 different age groups, so we had to do that like a few times in a day.
Thank you. And I saw you ladies my kids aren't in sports camp, but we go to the pool often, and a lot of my friends' kids are in this camp, so I've seen you both in action. So thank you for what you've been doing.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations on getting through the program. Good for you. I want to know about 100 sandwiches. You made 100 sandwiches? I mean, yeah, I'd be stressed. I mean, what kind were they? Mayonnaise, mustard, what were they?
We made 3 different kinds. We made turkey and cheese, no mayo, turkey and cheese mayo, and then we made a vegetarian cucumber and herb cream cheese.
Did you come up with the menu yourself, or you just hungry one day and that's what you decided to do?
We made the menu. We made a list of all the materials. We helped buy it. We set everything up, and we made all the sandwiches, set up all the crafts and everything.
We still have some left over in the fridge.
Oh, well, yeah, good for you. Yeah, you can keep those, I think. Thanks, and congratulations again. Good for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, girls. You guys are very impressive, and I'm very happy that you went through this internship program. I do have a question for you. Let's say one of your peers is interested in applying for this internship, but they're a little unsure or they're a little nervous. They don't really know what to expect. What would you tell them?
I would say they definitely should try it because, for one, they can choose their own hours, work with their supervisor about it, and also there's the opportunity they can choose what field they're interested in, and they can really get some experience in that and see if they still really want to do that, see if that's something that they're really interested in. I would say that just gaining experience, so many new people you get to meet, you get to try out different things.
I would say that you should definitely try the internship as well. Not only will this look good on applications, but you can, like Marvi said, choose your own hours and make a lot of friends in your workspace, and just get a feel of what the workspace is going to be like when you actually have like a career or a job.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other comments from the commissioners? No? Well, I'll go ahead and jump in. I am an absolute fan of internships. When I was 14, I was an unpaid intern. But of course, you guys were paid for your guys' work, which is amazing, also a bonus. But I feel like you take a lot away from your internship. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourselves, what you guys are capable of, and you're just growing your skill set, which is amazing as young professionals going into the workforce. So I absolutely commend Brandy, Claudia, for your guys' hard work, but also both of you for stepping up, taking initiative. I hope you guys really took a lot out of this internships, and it sounds like you guys did. And come back and work for the city. Come back and work in our Parks and Rec department. We're always hiring. We're hiring right now for rec aides and program leaders in our after-school program. So come back and show the love to the other kids that are going on in our programs. So thank you guys a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then Cheryl, do we have any public comments? Or are we going to wait till after?
We do not.
No public comments. Okay. Sorry, I'm vice chairman, getting new at this little gig. So we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 4, workshop on Heritage Oaks Park Master Plan Implementation Project, Melton Design Group.
Good evening, Commission. I'm Chris Sorosky. I'm project manager for the Parks Department, working on the Heritage Oaks Park site, and I'd like to introduce you to Sarah Crossley with MDG. She's our designer on the project, and she's here to present to you our 2 concepts of the park design that we created using the Park Master Plan information, the elements that were required or accepted for the grant. And here's Sarah.
Thank you. Hi, good to see everybody. Some new faces, some old faces, but yeah, it's nice to be here in front of you guys today presenting Heritage Oaks Park. Let's see here. Like Chris was saying, we just had a public, which button is, okay. So the site is within a residential neighborhood. There's an existing, they call it a kiosk with a picnic shade structure, coffee. There's a treetop ropes course within the Heritage Oaks already on the site with a parking lot and playground. And then as you can see, there's an open field, which is where the majority of our park's going to go to really utilize the rest of the site. It's really important to preserve the Heritage Oak woodland that's there now. So really utilizing that open space. Here's some existing photos. Here's that kiosk I was talking about that's already existing on the site. Really opens your view up, a nice shaded area with picnic, which is where we held our public meeting, made for a great meeting spot. Nice existing parking lot we plan to add to. This is showing one of the entry-level practice ropes course we plan to keep, and then the existing ropes course within that Heritage Oak woodland picture on the bottom, and then the existing play area, which will be relocated. There's not a lot of shade. It's close to the road, close to the parking lot. So programming relationship-wise, it didn't really work where it is at now. But I'll show you what we're thinking. So here's option A. So we have option A and option B we presented at our public meeting. And the programming is both the same. Really all that changes is our kind of core area where our spray ground, our playground, and our picnic area comes in, along with the outdoor classroom. So as you arrive, you see there's the existing parking lot. To the left there, we're adding 38 spaces on the right. There's going to be a roundabout going in the future, so we're just planning for that now and really thinking about the flow for vehicular and pedestrian and crossing safety as well. So as you come in, you're greeted with our nice picnic shelter. So we have a pump house and restroom at that first entry point there. And then as it goes up diagonally, we have plenty of room for shaded picnic on either side. So on the right side, we have adventure play area. And then on the left is our spray park, or spray ground, excuse me. Spray ground. Our theming is native natural theme. So we've been working with 3 of the tribes in the area, Yochadihi, Wintu Nation, Wilton Rancheria, and Shingle Springs. So it's been a really great in collaborating with them, and we've actually been getting really good feedback and ideas from them. So that's been a nice collaboration, just getting their feedback. And we wanted to bring them in preliminarily just to get them familiar and start having a relationship with them. More coordination will come when we get into interpretive panels, art, nailing down theming elements, appropriateness. All those types of things will really be nailing down with them. But we have started working with them on theming, and it was generally agreed between the tribes to stick to natural theme, way of life type of things and not get into nitty-gritty details of history and things like that. So keep that in mind as we move through the plan, very natural elements and refined. We're not looking to do anything hokey here. So we have some inspiration photos to try and nail down the elevated quality of our design. So yeah, as I was saying, you have your spray ground, playground, picnic, all good relationships there. On right above the parking lot is the urban plaza with a bosque of trees. So you have a nice shaded concrete area where you can put little tents for markets, food trucks can pull up. We really want to activate that space and make it a comfortable drop-off. Like I said, food trucks, vendors, that kind of thing when we're activating the park. As you look at the kiosk, that's that white square on there that's existing now. In this option, we put the outdoor classroom amphitheater right in front of there to tie that connectivity through. It's sitting back in that heritage oak woodland. We'd keep the structure pretty open so we're not hiding anything. We're preserving and really keeping those views open and connecting the people to the space. So that's kind of our core area. And then moving along the path to the left there, we right now show the skate area there with a little pump up and just some little grinding rails. But we are looking, maybe that can be more of a history, natural kind of history area where we have interpretive panels and art more so than the skate element. We're looking more now to do a pump flow skate area, so like an all-wheel park, just so the use is more together. And then we can keep the use just together there. And then going up on the path, going north, we have more of a passive area. So we have our wellness pass with the reflexology trail, so the little pebbles in the concrete, and different surfaces you can walk on, and interpretive panels about wellness, and little meditation spaces and quiet areas. So to the, let's see, we're east. To the west of that, there's just homes right there. So we really wanted to create a nice vegetative screening without blocking any views, but doing as much noise buffer and keeping select views for the neighbors into the park along that way. And then going up, we have some fitness stations. Those are those blue bubbles. So we'll have fitness stations all along that back path there. Coming back around, you see the purple bubble is our pump flow track skate element. Will be up there. We are over 100 feet setback away from the homes. So that's an important thing. We don't want anyone to feel like the skate park is in their backyard, Keep a nice buffer there. We can do some mounding with vegetation. It's far, we have a nice buffer, so that's important to keep in mind there. It'll also be fenced, so then we're kind of directing the traffic flow around there. And then we have a nice big open, I call it a multi-use meadow, but it is turf with some no-mow grass on the edge to kind of give that feel, but it's low maintenance. And, it's green all year. So that's the main gist of our master plan and our the way our elements are laying out for option A. For option B, you can see it's generally the same. And then if you look at that core, you come in, you have a little drop off for your bus, or, dropping grandma off. Anyone who wants to be dropped off, I like to be dropped off, so got to have a drop off. And then we have our pump house and our restrooms on the back of the shelter with picnic in front, just like the existing building has now. So we want to tie that architecture in. And then in this, instead of two different play areas, we have pour in place and concrete. And it's just all one spray ground and play area. So, in the winter when the spray ground's off, you just have one nice big play area where you can still jump on the boulders and it's one continuous flow. A nice adventure tower, We're working with mounding up a little bit. It is primarily a flat site, so we wanted to add some topo to the site, create some interest, some hierarchy. Another picnic shelter up there on the hill. We still have our big open turf meadow that wraps around our play structures. And then our outdoor classroom, instead of being in front of the kiosks there, in this option, there's some really nice big logs that we're keeping in place, and then relocating the outdoor classroom gathering space just to the east of that kiosk, so it sits right in between our adventure play area and then the kiosk there. So that was the primarily difference of option B. All the other elements are in the same location. These are just some images on our theming. So some native playgrounds that have already been built. We just kind of wanted to show what's been done. And then we can, talk about further what's been done well, what hasn't. But looking at both sides is always good when designing. And then on the bottom, there's a section of option B, so you can see how we're mounding up a bit to get a little more topo in our site. In this option, we're showing kind of a big oak tree play element. It has a face on it. You can go down the slide, have climber nets. So, it'd probably be a gunite thing, just keeping the natural look with the simple shade elements like we talked about. Reflexology path, natural elements, logs, boulders. Like I said, keeping it natural, bringing in pollinator gardens when we can throughout, creating habitats too. There's always little critters and say lizards, they like a stack of rocks. You can make a stack of rocks and have an interpretive panel on it. So, just looking at opportunities, we can add those unique elements in there for education, along with our native interpretive panels throughout. And at the public meeting, we met a master gardener named Missy, and it was really great to hear how excited the master gardeners would be, happy to be involved with the project, providing education and plant material planting. So it was cool to hear from her and how excited they were about the pollinator gardens. Just some more inspiration photos. There's a great one in Carpinteria. They're on the ocean and they have the tule boats, and tule boats are also native to our local tribes. So, we're thinking about adding some of those and have the Sacramento River. We heard from one of the tribes that the flicker bird was a really big importance in there. So, starting to pull from the tribes in our theming, what does our nature look like, and Carpinteria is ocean, we're river and valley. So, but they did a good job on displaying the native way of life. So we're taking inspiration from them. And just some nice, getting the critters in there, all the things. There's different ways to do it, but it's just fun. And then just some images about the all-wheel pump track. Not sure yet if it's going to be paved or dirt, but we're going to start diving into what does that look like? What do we need for our site? Our public meeting was on July 12th. It went really well. I saw some of you guys there, so thank you for coming. It was a fun event. We had hot dogs. Here it had Zumba going at the end. It was just cool to get it activated. There's quite a bit of people there. We were happy with the outcome. So the main comments, the concerns were, of course, like the skate park and the pump track. Is it too close to the homes? Is there a good enough buffer? Is it natural enough? Different things like that. Can we play soccer on the field? And it'll be it's not a sports field, but it'll be adequate to play recreation sports on, of course. There wasn't like a definitive, do I like option A or B layout better? We got a sense that people liked more of the play and spray together in option B, but it wasn't so overwhelming where, we felt that was an overwhelming response from the community. But overall, really good feedback. People are excited. We had the big printout like I brought today, where on our next meeting, I'm going to do it 4 times that size so you can walk it, have little bikes so you can play on it. And, in our public engagement, we're really trying to engage people and make it fun instead of here's a board on a stand. So what can we do? Maybe in the future we do have VR to play around with, but for now I'm like, let's get the touchy things we can touch. So, this last meeting was great. Our next one will be really fun too. So yeah, we're just excited about that. This is just some photos from it. There's Kira on my reflexology mat. I brought one so people understood what it is, even if you don't want to try it. There it is. You can try it if you want. If not, that's okay. So for each option, we had a big plan on one end of the structure and then another on the other with the boards in front of it, kind of like I have there. So you get a little more detail on the board with the inspiration pictures around. So yeah, like I said, really fun event, good feedback. There was a gentleman who really wanted a bocce ball court, thought it would be used by seniors. Not a part of the grant, but good feedback there involving the seniors, and we'll have like balancing and different inclusive elements throughout the site. And it's really built for all ages. There's the Zumba. I didn't partake in it, but I kind of wish I did. It looked like a lot of fun. All right, well, thank you guys. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. We have one public comment before we move to commissioner comments. I don't want to missay your name. Is it Casey? Aziz. Lucas. All right. You can come up to the podium.
I'm a member of the Yolo County Parks Recreation Wildlife Supervisor Advisory Committee. And we had a presentation recently, which I was really, enjoyed, if you will, highlighted something, and that is handicap. A gentleman came in and he has an organization, I believe he's in the, little up from Sacramento, and his organization goes to like the city of Sacramento and other locations, Yolo County, and provides them with a kind of footprint on what children with handicap, what kind of tools, toys they could use in a playground. And it was really fascinating. It's not like the whole playground is designed for just handicap, but there are certain little sections that handicapped children can participate in. And I was just wondering if maybe that thought process, I saw a gentleman over there in the wheelchair at the end of your slide, but I don't think he's in a quote children category. I don't know. He looked a little older, but I think you might be interested to get a hold of Yolo County. It's Emily Herrera. I could give you the number, and she could tie you in with that individual. And they really, I think, would be a value add when you create new parks. So just want to share that.
Okay, perfect. Commissioner Ahmad.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for your comment. On that note, actually, I was my feedback, and I think this is like different than when I live in this neighborhood. So like I'm actually in one of the pictures, like my house is on the map that I use things. But and I know that a lot of our neighbors have expressed this idea of wanting to keep things as natural and quiet as possible. So I love what you've done with incorporating the indigenous communities and honoring their histories to then honor the kind of like what the neighbors want. So it really melds well together, and I'm excited to see that unfold. I think my other comment was about what you mentioned about the children with different abilities. Initially, when I saw Plan A, Plan B, I think I was leaning more toward the B, of having everything be all in one, spray ground and playground. And then I've been sitting here listening, and then when I heard his comment, I thought about kids who might be neurodivergent, have different abilities, and keeping that water element separate from the playground. Because I know seasonally it might happen that the water's turned off, but then I'm thinking about some kids who just don't want to get wet, but they want to play. So just something that I thought of. Again, I had initially leaned towards that inclusive, like everything on one option. But I think that has been an important point, that there's going to be kids who have different needs and wants, and to make sure that they their needs are being met at the park. And the other thought I had was this, and I don't know how neighbors, like how strongly they felt about the amphitheater or the outdoor classroom being where it is. But as a parent and as someone who leads like Girl Scout groups, one point of like feedback that I have is like keeping that separated from the playground, like so that being plan A, you have it kind of sort of set away from the play elements. And I think that would be better than having it being closer to the play elements, because if you are trying to get kids to like learn and educate and engage, they're going to be distracted, especially the little people. Even older people. I have a 15-year-old. He would still be distracted, you know? Yeah. So something to keep in mind. So I don't know, on those kinds of things, if you are engaging child development, you know, in terms of like figuring out what's the best one. Because if neighbors are ambivalent or West Sac residents, and how do you determine that? For instance, like what is the best? Is it more just on like opinions and feedback, or do you go on like a child development kind of?
Yeah, well, thank you for your comments and all your feedback. And we're talking about inclusivity and sensory and those types of things. And to address one of your comments real quick is, yeah, you know, we don't design it all to be like wheelchair accessible, but say for the fall material, you know, if it's bark, then we'll put little swashes of foreign play so you can roll in. Or for, you know, different types of sensory, we have different panels. And even with the topo I was talking about, that creates a natural ramp to get natural accessibility up to things. And then inside the play structure, we have, a certain level of it that is accessible. And, you know, some parts won't be, but at least we're getting the most inclusive we can with that. So we do really think about that when we design, and you'll see more of those details come out as we move through the design process. But I'd love to meet with the person you were in contact with, Emily.
Oh,
Emily, yeah.
Get in contact.
Right.
If you have a card, I'll have.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get you my. We'll connect.
It's just another source.
Yeah.
Areas, cities. Parks and here.
Right.
You know, they have tools. And, you know.
Yeah, and as a designer in a firm, that's something we've kind of adopted to bring in through our company. There's a lot of the playground companies are bringing those elements in, and then members of the community. So it is a collaborative effort, and it is something that's very important that we really work on. So yeah, I really appreciate all your feedback, and we'll be connecting. And then, yeah, looking at the design, you know, is it one, is it two areas? Is the outdoor classroom, you know, closer to the play? Is it further away? So you're talking about the relationships and how do we decide and move forward. So, you know, I don't think it's like one thing that's like, oh, yes, you know, like definitely public comment. What do people like best? But really comes down to what's going to work best for this site, for the community. So when we're talking about the water and the sensory, you know, if it's one area, the water won't be everywhere. It'll be, say if it's on that left-hand side, the water will only be there. So if you don't want to get wet, you just don't go play in the spray area. So it's not like the water won't be spread through there. It'll still be separate, but, you know, you don't have a picnic table dividing you up. So, you know, it's still separate, but I guess it feels just more like one space. So visually it's not broken up, or, you know, we're looking at option A where you have the picnic. We're looking at changing the elevation a bit. So you'd go up or down a ramp and stairs. So it is more separate, but if you don't want to get wet on option B, you still have the choice. You know, you can play on the dry side if you didn't want to be on the wet side. And then as far as the outdoor classroom, you know, we would look at maybe ramping that down a little bit, nestling within the trees, so it would feel like its own space. That was a good point. You know, we don't want it to feel like you're not in your own space, and you definitely get that, and you're further away in front of the kiosk there, but right in between where we show it now, you know, we'd we'd have more blockage with vegetation, working with mounding up and going down, and our goal would be for it to feel like it's separate space. And it is a pretty good, well, I guess if you're on the end there, you're kind of right there, but we design it in a way where it does feel separate. So our next step is to get down to one preferred master plan, and we still have some thinking to do and, nail down what is that. Is it one area? Is it two? Is it, we haven't nailed down a one preferred option yet. So yeah, any comments you can provide today will help us consider and get down to our preferred option. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And I have a couple more, but I'm going to let other folks talk before I
go ahead. You got the floor.
Okay, we'll have the floor. One comment that came up, and I spoke to Jason about this at the meeting, but I want to just kind of hear from you as well. With option A, would that still, is the intention, like for instance, if like recreation play, soccer, for instance, is always looking for play fields in the fall, for younger kids like ages 10 and under, is this area adequate enough to allow for marking that space up and to bring out little goals and have at least two soccer? Yeah, I wanted to just check because I think that was what I was told, but I wanted to just, the other option doesn't seem to allow for that as much, but the option A does, but I could be wrong about option B.
Yeah, I think you can. I think it's a little tighter. It's not sports field, like not made for sports field, but I think you could at least fit one. And then if we're nailing down the design and we know, okay, we want to make sure there's two, we can fit that in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just going back to we've had a deficit of play fields, especially in the fall, and with Bright eventually being worked on, with whenever that happens, we're going to need more play spaces during the rec season in the fall. So it would be nice to have like other spaces around town. So if we could accommodate at least 2 under 10 play fields, that would be great.
Yeah, and multi-use is always better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the last comment I had was just difference between the pollinator gardens. Like one looks like a labyrinth and one is not. Is that right?
Yeah, so right now it's kind of a placeholder. It's more of a bubble of, we haven't fully dove into what is this design. It's more of, it's going to be in this area. I like the idea of presenting a labyrinth / wellness path and multi-use, multifunctional. So right now it's more of a placeholder, not really too much different in design. In our next plan, we'll start showing some design options for that.
And you mentioned in your presentation that the skate area will be more multi-use as well.
Yeah.
Because based on neighbors' feedback.
That feedback, actually, yeah, it was. They're talking about people were concerned with people biking and skating all through the paths when people are trying to have a nice stroll. So, they're mentioning maybe that relationship could be closer together. And then just recently meeting with our skate designer, American Ramp, they mentioned, why don't we do an all-wheel park? We've been doing a lot of those. They're very successful. You have more of the shared, if it's going to be like a hardscape that for the pump flow and then also for that skate area, you get all wheels, you get scooters, you get the skateboards, you get the bikes that can use both of them. And it's really more desired these days.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the last question, is there a concept in here like a bridge, like of any kind? I see something like right there on Plan B, closer to the skate area. Is that a bridge or is that just more of a pathway?
So there isn't really any proposed bridge, but there is some boardwalks. Like you'll see, I think I have a laser on this. Oh yeah, I do. So here you go. I took some sections and made boardwalk. And I didn't mention them when I was presenting, but there are some elderberries that are protected. For now, we're 100 feet away from them to have a preserved area. We'll hear back from environmental soon, and we may be able to, get closer, encroach a little bit further, but they are a preserved plant there, so we are staying out of there. In the original concept and in earlier ones, we've looked at, there's a boardwalk going straight through this heritage oak where they have a path now. We're looking at putting a boardwalk to control people walking. Not as many people are going to jump off a boardwalk when you have tall grasses around, and we'll have the signs and all that's preserved. But we're looking at putting a lookout tower somewhere, and we're still, playing with that idea. Do we want some kind of an elevated tower where it's accessible, maybe partway up, and you have some stairs to get up a little higher? But yeah, we're looking at boardwalks, not necessarily bridges, but boardwalk with a lookout tower.
The reason I asked about the bridge was that little tiny, looks like a stream. It's really just kind of like a little deep crevice.
Yes.
Yeah, that thing. It's
Yeah.
cute. It's got wildflowers and lavender growing on it. If there's, I should have said this at the actual meeting, but a lot of kids play in there, and I don't know if that's just going to stay natural the way it is, but it would be nice to have something that they could just, I don't know. For me, I'm always getting my toddler out of there. I'm just like, get out. And this, I know you'll be blocking that side area when neighbors are to kind of give them privacy, but there's also kind of like a little groove there as well, like a little ravine. But that area in particular, if we would consider putting some kind of bridge, because it would give some kids something to play on that's natural without having to go in there all the time. And when I say in there, I'm always afraid of ticks and bugs. That has gone up. We've been hearing more about ticks in our area because of climate change. And so I thought, okay, maybe a bridge would give something for me to do. So just a thought that I had. But yeah, that's all my questions.
So thank you. Yeah. And we weren't looking at a bridge over here. I think that's definitely something we want in our play area, though. And right now this is a drainage swale. So I think, we kind of want to keep kids out of there and then get them, maybe we recreate that fun, Remember you used to play in that swale? Look what we have in our playground, and let's bring them over to the playground and have a bridge there with some natural play and maybe some sticks and rocks they can stack up. And that's kind of something I was thinking we do over here in this existing play area. Maybe we do have more of the natural, we put a little dry creek with a little bridge or something where they can play there and keep them out of the swale. But that is a really nice, educational type opportunity too with the swale. Here's the one you play in, here's the one you look at. But no, I appreciate that feedback. I didn't know the kids played in there. Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to pile on to Commissioner Ahmad's comment, because I remember the last time I came to this commission, I remember the soccer fields being larger. The space for soccer was larger than depicted here, I think, because that's what the commission mentioned before. But I have a thought for you. I shared this with staff. I had an experience. I went to the houses across the street that are for sale east of Village Parkway and, asked them, do you have a park? No, we don't have a park. But I went to the second story of one of the models, and it looks directly into this park from the east, the west. So just a thought for commissioners, just a different perspective to get up higher and imagine what the park would look like if you're upstairs across the street, and you can see going in the swales and the trees and all that. And I like the nature theme. I think it's great. Stay with it. I didn't hear Maidu Indians. Did I miss that? That you had talked to the Maidu tribe?
No, the Maidu are not involved in the park.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
And the artwork, this will go to the Arts Commission? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. But I like the theme and the nature. Stay with the trees. Stay with that whole approach. I like that. And the spray park make look like trees. I thought I saw an example that was maybe a little artsy, but I like that too. I don't know how you make a bicycle fit into a natural area, but you can. But I like where we're going. I like the direction we're going. It seems consistent with what the commissioners have said for the last couple of years. So good for you. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm going to answer the first part of your question. It was on the top of my head and I forgot it. But you know what? You mentioned the turf size. So one thing that happened is the preserved elderberry with the 100-foot setback popped up on us. So we lost some usable park space there. So all the elements had to shift downward. And so we lost a little bit of usable park space there. But as I mentioned before, it sounds like that is desired to play at least 2 youth games at a time. And we can definitely plan for that. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
my mic? Hey, yeah, I'm kind of wondering about the handicap. First of all, we aren't all in wheelchairs.
Right.
Or, or blind. Let me tell you, those yellow things, I would have to say are very obtrusive to those of us in other. But especially for children or adults who are on the spectrum, they mostly need paths with an escape at the end or at one space or another. There was a real good show on PBS about the only autistic park that was built, and it was on last couple of weeks, about it in, I think it's Oregon or somewhere. And a lot of things, I'm wondering how you're going to mix children and adults in this park, or are you going to have them all together in one space? Or is it going to be sort of children friendly and sort of adult friendly? What is the concept of that?
Okay. So I feel like kind of two questions. So you're asking about the accessibility of the paths.
Right.
And when you're saying kind of an escape, are you meaning like a space, just enough space for people to pass?
No.
Okay.
What I'm saying was, when I saw this park, it was really interesting. It was like most paths or something you would see, but then it would just almost like some of the sidewalks do around here. They dead end, almost like, but the dead end was their escape through that dead end.
To get out of the park.
Yeah.
So then
or just to get out of being on the path or being on the rocks or being any one place. I have a granddaughter that's autistic, and it's very difficult for her to stay on a path of any kind without having a way off. It's just something that you might consider.
Okay. So a way off to take a break, just you don't want to be on the path. Maybe you want to sit on the bench. Maybe you want to go on that fitness station. And so, we'll have accessible accesses to all the elements. So then it's an easy in and out. We'll have little gathering areas through the park off the path, different things like that. I think that's what you're talking about, just so that it's not a long stretch of a path, that there's interactive elements, there's seating, there's things to look at, there's interpretive panels, those types of things on the path. And then, of course, the path will be wide enough for two people to pass, just so you have a comfortable walking distance. You're not squeezing by people. We know people are going to have their trikes on the path, and, a big family is going to come. And that's why we, like to have nice, comfortable, wide paths. But then you're mentioning, the accessibility to all the elements. We'll definitely have that. We have accessible ramps into our play areas so that it's a easy in. Say, if we were to have bark, you always have a nice, comfortable path to access in, whether you're in a chair, you're walking in, however you're getting in. Usually there's a curb, so you want to get in comfortably. So we always do design to that standard. And then remind me of the second part of your question. I think you were talking about the elements.
About having, you're talking about things like a wellness path and reflexology and labyrinth, which nobody under 30 is going to think twice of. I mean, maybe between 25 and 30, but I doubt it. So, is that
the age
stuff
ranges
mainly going to be on one side? And, you don't want the skate path right next to the, wellness path.
Right.
Or
Okay, I remember. Yeah. So, we don't want to necessarily separate all the ages. And like I talked about, it's an all age play area. So, the kids are going to be wild in there, but it's going to be made so it's fun for teens and adults to be as well. But it is a super active zone. So say you don't want to be in the super active zone, you can go in more the passive zone where you do have reflexology and labyrinth, and it is accessible and it's for all abilities, and we have all different types of sensory elements in there. There's the visual with the pollinator garden, the smell, you can feel the rocks, and that's not where all that crazy activity is going to be, but all ages can enjoy it. And I think you'd be surprised, it's becoming more and more popular with younger people with wellness, meditation, those types of things. We're seeing younger people getting more into that. And then, we're looking at seniors, we got the fitness stations, and, like I said, it's all ages. It just depends, what kind of activity do you want? So, say you're a senior and you're out and you want to work on your balance. Maybe we have a nice balance log. And we're also going to have, the fitness equipment that's made for that. But, teens can be on it, adults. So I guess to answer your question, it's just the level of activity you want to be involved with, but it's going to kind of cater to all abilities.
Okay. And I have another question. Have you checked with, you said you hadn't checked with the Miwok? Oh, the Maidu, Miwok, and the Patwin, which were the 3 tribes that we're familiar with in this area. Yeah. We aren't familiar with Shingle Springs or Cache Creek. I would personally, there are no teepees in these, kinds of...
they had more of the Earth Lodge.
Yes.
And so
I'd be more interested in seeing something like that. You might check at FEA. Do you know about that center?
I'm not familiar, and I'll dive into your question with the tribes. So we asked, is it 100 tribes?
It was a letter went out addressing all the tribes and asked for their input on this, and these were the tribes that wanted to be involved. So we have the Yochidihi, the Shingle Springs, Miwok, and the Wilton tribe. So that's who want to be part of this, give us input on this design.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say about FEA is a nature center. It's off of Fair Oaks. And it's got a lot of the same nature pollinators, the gardens, if you're going to have a natural, let me see, a turf meadow, why not have it with shoelace? Why not have, some of the structures that the Native Americans, were in those areas, And also, I guess that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And that is, the reason we're working with the tribes is to bring those elements. So we definitely do want to bring the native plants and the plants that were special to the tribes and plant the tules and have an interpretive panel about the tules and then show a tule boat. So then we're kind of connecting. I think I briefly mentioned, but it's, focusing on the nature and the way of life. So education being a really big component of our programming here. But I will check out how do you say it, Evia?
It's spelled E-F-F-I-E, and then Ya is Y-E-A-W or W.
Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, Evia Nature Center.
Okay.
But it's got a lot of the stuff, I believe it's from the Miwoks or Maidus
Yeah.
They've got a whole elaborate, structure built out there already,
Yeah, that'd be great to check out. Thank you.
Oh, and one other, when you're putting in native plants and native pollinators, you can, be sure that they are native to this area because our bees are dying because they're native, but they're not native to this area. Our bees are dying because people are planting natives like crazy, but they might be native to the East Coast or they might be native
California
to Southern
natives.
California.
Northern California natives. True native California plants. I gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can go to the Reclamation District is right near here in Solano County. They have a natural native pass going through the pollinators and showing all, what's natural and what isn't.
Yeah, we'll definitely use all our resources. We have some really good plant specialists on our team, so we'll utilize them, the tribe, all the resources around us. So, yeah, I appreciate your comment.
Commissioner Galvan.
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work and for engaging the community with that meeting and bringing all these pictures for us. I appreciate it. I agree with some of the comments that were made about I think a comment was made about possibly moving the skate area closer to the pump flow track. I like that idea. I feel like I don't really know much about skating or biking, but I think that those are pretty similar and people who like one of those might like the other one. So I do like that idea. After the gentleman here's comment, I now also agree. I like the separate water area versus, splash park area versus regular kids park area. Just because all the comments that have been made about, children who might just not like water at all or not want to be near there. And I also like the plan option A. It does like the grass area. I like a bigger grass area. And just to mention, we've had the Westack Soccer Club talk a lot about needing soccer space, and I feel like that would be a really great option to have that there as well for the community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more commissioner comments? Commissioner Hargrove?
Hi, thank you. The plan is really great. I do agree moving the skate area over by the pump track is what needs to be done. The all-wheel track, all-wheel area is really good. It needs to be all concrete. It can't be the janky stuff that we have at our current skate park. That falls apart pretty easily, and it's not really what people skateboard on. So having an actual real skate park out there that is a concrete flow park is really important. That is really the only active kind of sports thing in this park. And that is vestigial. For those of you who are wondering why the comment was, why are bikes here? Well, bikes are here because this was the park that was originally going to be designated as the BMX park decades ago, was in this area. This whole plan that has evolved is a great plan, but I'm glad to see that the city has kept that original BMX idea in this. And that's why it's kind of an odd duck in all of this plan, is because this is the park that was designated for the BMX park, I think 15, 20 years ago, right? Park. So I want to make sure that is kept, and I want to make sure that that is done right and done well. The skate park that we currently have, again, it's fun for some folks, but it's not where folks who actually skateboard go to skate, because the wooden kind of things we have in there are not great. My other comment, and I'll go against the grain on this, is I don't know that we need a soccer field here. This park otherwise is kind of a natural area park with lots of different neat things in it. Putting an official soccer field here is something that is another maintenance piece for Parks and Rec that may or may not fit with the rest of this park. I don't think we should just stick rectangle fields in every park we do. I do think there should be some parks that maybe don't have lots of kids that are playing soccer. I love soccer, but we do have some fields that are designated that are really the rectangle sports fields. I don't know, you said there's going to be mounding in this grass here. I know when I coach soccer, when we practiced, I like to take the kids to parks like that we had like this that just had a little grass area because I had little kids, and we practiced soccer in that area, but it wasn't an official soccer area. So I would caution, I would caution the need to stick a rectangle field in every single park we do. Mm-hmm. And I think right now the uniqueness of this park is that it is going to be something that is unlike any other park in the city because it has kind of a lot of different neat little things that are going on. And then the other thing here, which I really like about all of this is a great example of the city of West Sacramento and Parks and Rec and other departments in the city of West Sacramento figuring out how to build a unique park. This was initially, there was concern initially with this park because of the heritage oaks there. That's where the park gets its name, is that stand of beautiful oaks there, which really weren't mentioned at all today because it's not part of this plan. Those heritage oaks were what happened in the first part of the plan, which is allowing us to leverage these grant dollars. And what happened in this park is extremely unique. It's a public-private partnership that has happened here. First of all, some of the initial infrastructure that was put in was done with developer dollars. So those houses being built there is what allowed, thank you for buying a house there, Commissioner, because those developer dollars is what allowed for some of the initial sidewalks and infrastructure to be put in. So you could put a park in there. Mm-hmm. So that's an important piece. And when you think about how you fund parks in the north part of town or the town where I live, no new houses are being built. So that's a funding mechanism that isn't available in other parts of town, but it is available here and it was used, and that is great. But the really unique thing that's happened in this park is Treetop Sacramento, and they haven't been mentioned once today in this presentation, again, because they're already there and they're doing good. But Treetop Sacramento is a private group that the city formed a partnership with. It was unlike anything we've ever really seen before. I've never seen this. And Treetop Sacramento came in and used that beautiful stand of oak trees to run its ropes course. And then it also basically used what we called tax increment financing, but I guess it's private. They have worked with the city to pay for a lot of this infrastructure that we see already at this park. The parking lot was all paid by Treetop Sacramento. The park that's there right now, that was done in partnership with the city to leverage those funds. So I just want to take the opportunity to point out that this is a extremely unique park and how it's funded and how it's evolved. And I love to see these plans come to fruition, something I've been advocating for a long time. I think what you've done with kind of the bottom triangle of this park staff and the designer, I really like it. If this actually is built out in this manner, it will be a very unique park. I used to live in this neighborhood myself. There's one other park around here, Whitey Bosclair Park down the road, which has basketball courts, has some natural areas. Mm-hmm. But this will be very unique, and I know it's something that when we lived there with little kids that we would have really enjoyed this. Even some of the areas that aren't built for little kids, walking around with toddlers in a pollinator garden where they can just walk around on a path and be away from other distractions, I think is a great thing. That will be unique to this park that isn't in other areas. So thank you. Those are my comments. I really appreciate. There's been 2 public outreach events that I've been to, and it seems like it's been really good participation in that. So I love it. Keep the pump track. Move the skate area over there. Don't lose that element. I know it's an odd duck, but make the rest of it as unique as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. And I just wanted to add, the community was really excited about the BMX pump track. It's also part of the grant, so it's staying there. And we're excited to have it there. People also made sure, the Treetop Sacramento, the ropes are still being there, right? They're excited about that element staying there as well. So, 2 of the elements you mentioned, the public's also very excited about. And then just to address your comment about the soccer fields, So we're not looking to put the rectangles in. I think the idea is just to have enough space to outline a field if we need to, just to keep it multi-use. But yeah, I wouldn't throw in any rectangles in here. I don't want to disturb our natural flow like we talked about. So yeah, appreciate all your comments.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys. Okay, go ahead.
Just wanted to thank you, Matt, for your insight about that. It's always helpful to have the history of the city and kind of what was intended for that space. So that's really helpful. I want to mention, because these two little boys promised that I would share the story, and I totally forgot. Two little boys in my neighborhood, one of the hottest days, I found them walking with the little tiny soccer goal into a treetop, and then soon walk out, and they were hauling this little goal, and I'm like, what are you doing? And it was because they thought there was a big open field already to play in. And so I love that there's going to be this sort of this open play field multi-use, and that's what I think I want for myself in that neighborhood, is that it could be a soccer field, it could be a place you can fly kites, you can do whatever, but it's really needed to have this. And these kids clearly thought it existed. I don't know why. They live there. They thought it was there, but the last comment that I had was regarding what Rosie mentioned with the tribes and with the different indigenous communities who've been invited to offer insight and input about the development of either the education piece or the play pieces. I would encourage, my message to those tribes would be to, and as a form of education, not getting too political, but you mentioned that, things being pre-Columbian here is really sticking with that pre-Columbian etymology. And so there's often there's use of the word Indian, and it's very confusing because I think we're kind of getting away from that kind of very Columbian term of Indian when it's very inappropriate and inaccurate. Right. But sticking with the actual, what were the names that they called themselves? What are Yokadehi was called, what was their previous, they had a different name.
The Maidu people?
No, this is Cache Creek. They were actually Cache Creek Indians, and then they were referred back to their actual indigenous languages. So I think in a way to inform our communities about these folks that have been here and are obviously been stewarding this land longer than we've been here, that we should honor their languages and their culture, and not just go with kind of the Indian terms. So that's just again, this is between you and them, but that would be my feedback.
No, I really appreciate that comment, and that kind of is something that came up when meeting with the tribes. Yochadihi in particular has already come up with interpretive panels, and they're going more towards the QR codes because, to capture attention, a lot of people don't want to see a novel. They want to see a graphic, and, we have the idea of creating the village feel here. So here's a picture of what this might have looked like back in pre-Columbian time when, the native people were here. And then here's our village, and then you see what it looks like now. And then you can scan the QR code and you can hear what it would be, how it would be said in native language. And, so we really do want to tie in all those types of things and not just put a generic, Indian blanket over it. We want it to represent the native tribes and really get the accuracy and things like that. And we've been working with more and more tribes, so we're putting someone in our company through a tribal liaison program, so we can just be more knowledgeable and help facilitate even better with the tribes. Thank you.
I wanted to bring up one last thing, parking. This is supposedly all the parking you're going to have for, the number of people you're talking about is going to exceed the parking really quickly. Is there parking allowed on the street?
I don't believe there is, but it is a neighborhood park. So I guess us looking at it a little different than a community park, we're wanting and anticipating people to bike here and walk here, local people in the neighborhood. And, we can look, if we were to add more parking to a parking lot, it really eats up our site. And really the intention is for natural healthiness. So, we do have a drop off there for the buses, for people, that need to be dropped off, park there, park elsewhere. So that's really our thought there on the parking. Did you have anything to add, Chris?
Yeah, there is no parking on Lake Washington, but in the neighborhood to the north, there's parking. that further up towards the parking lot. North side, where the exercise equipment is, just adjacent to that from east.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no parking here, but we do have our lot. And then you can come up, park just along here. You know, there's no homes here. You're just on the park. We have a little bit extra space here. But yeah, like I mentioned, we're mainly anticipating a lot of neighbors, and then you are going to have some people out that will need to park here. But yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right, we will be moving on to general administration function. A, director's report.
Well, now, there we go. Good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. I'm Erin Rivas. I am the Parks and Recreation Business Manager and co-interim director with Jay Shahal. And I will be giving the director's report this evening. Our new director of Parks and Recreation is going to start on Monday, 8/7. We are super excited. It's Kate Smith. She's the former director of the Well over at Sac State. Hopefully, she'll be able to join us at our next meeting. I wanted to let you guys know that the design contract for Bright Park was awarded to Verde for 100% design plans at the 628 council meeting. The Southport Levee Trailhead construction project is well underway. The ADA access ramp is under construction. The contract for West Horn for the public art piece was approved by council on 7/19. The fabrication and installation for the art pieces will begin here shortly. The West Syker Park is at about 65% design on the grading plans. The shade structure installation is nearly complete. The fitness area is the last piece over at Southport Gateway Park. That's the final element. On July 20th, Parks hosted a check presentation to West Sac Play for $10,000 for shade structures at Southport Gateway Park, along with a July is Parks Make Life Better Month proclamation by Mayor Guerrero. And thank you for all of you that attended. It was actually pretty incredible. I got to MC the event. It was my first ever, and the turnout was awesome. So thank you so much for participating. The Southport Levee recreational trail is currently in design and is at about 65%. This concludes my report.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. And that goes ahead and moves us to Commissioner Communications. So we'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Schatzel.
I did go to the Gateway stage structure opening, and you did a great job as the MC. I don't know. You were fine.
Thank you. I was very
I mean,
nervous.
nobody booed or walked away or anything. You were fine. I want to thank Park Maintenance and Jason for delivering a whole lot of wood chips over to the Southport School Garden, and we're trying to spread them to make a pathway as we did over at Stonegate. And so they're really helpful. They're terrific. And what was it? Oh, I got a copy of the senior bulletin from Chris at the Senior Center, and a lot of good information came in the mail. It was terrific. So it was good information to get out to people and get out to senior citizens, even though I'm in denial. I'm not a senior citizen, but I really am. But anyway, and so thank you. It was good. And Jason, again, thank you for the chip. That's terrific.
Yeah, I went to the Gateway Park thing, and I also went to the art show at the community center. And do y'all know about the West Sac Repair Cafe? That was really fabulous. That was this past Saturday. They will do bike repairs. It's like every other month at the end of the month. So I really appreciated those activities.
Commissioner Galvan.
Okay, so some things that I have participated in. This one's not really parks related, but it is West Sacramento related. At the community center, the city partnered with the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to offer business classes to the city, and that was really, really great, and I attended all of those, and I think they're going to continue to do more business classes in Spanish and in English, and I highly recommend that if anybody's interested. other events I attended were the Heritage Oaks Park community engagement, and I thought that went really well. And I appreciated that you guys had food and activities at the end of it. That was great. No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hargrove?
Thank you. There's two things I just want to remark on. One is we redid the West Sacramento Little League Memorial Park a couple years ago, and it is a fantastic redo. We spent about $2 million, maybe a little over $2 million to redo the park, and it was controversial. There was lots of complaints. There was lots of rumors that weren't true and other things, but we got through that park remodel. And recently, I've been able to do a couple events there. Most recently was able to do some MC work myself for the All-Star tournament that West Sacramento hosted at the park. And I'll tell you, having a facility where you can host that type of sports event for kids and families and bring in families from outside of West Sacramento is a really great thing. I was very proud to host lots of families there. But the thing that I found most about what we've redone at the Memorial Park is it feels like nothing was done there. And I know that sounds weird, but it feels like the Memorial Park that I played baseball at when I was a little kid, because what we were able to do was have professional designers come in with the thought of how do we redo this park so it will be ADA accessible, so it will be a little bit more modern, so it will fit our budget. So things are tweaked around a little bit that work better for the primary users, in this case, Little League. And I think that they were able to do all of that. And when the park first opened, all of us noticed all those differences right away. But after 3 years of that park being in use, it to me just feels like Memorial Park. It feels like nothing has changed. And I think that is, again, that's kudos to the city of West Sacramento, to our folks who maintain the parks, to our folks who plan the parks, fund the parks. It was a weird epiphany I had that we had a brand new park that felt exactly like the park that I grew up in. So that's a great thing. Another new thing that's come into West Sacramento that I hope all of us as commissioners are paying attention to is some of the new trails that are coming. And I recently, this weekend, we took a bike ride to go look at a couple different pedestrian bridges in the region. And one of them that we went and took a look at is the Sycamore Trail. Some of you were at the groundbreaking, where I think it was Council Member Sulpicio Hull and Mayor Martha Guerrero were there and turned the dirt. But if you actually go visit it now, on either side of the freeway where the Sycamore Trail will go in, you'll actually start seeing the pilings that are going in for that bridge. I think that this is a huge deal. I think that bridge over the freeway is, first of all, going to provide some actual real access between parts of our city that have been cut off from one another because of the freeway. And I think that the horizontal and lateral movement has been cut off from some of these things. And I also understand that it's going to be a bit controversial when that bridge comes in, but I hope that folks will think about the vision of why we need trails in the city of West Sacramento. If you grew up in West Sacramento, or if you've been here a long time, you feel that there's divisions in this town. And some of those divisions are just man-made divisions because of the freeway, because of the channel, the deep water channel, the port, the barge canal, the railroad tracks. Those are our man-made horizontal divisions in our city. And we've never had the ability really to have a lot of vertical pathways. I'm old enough to remember when we finally put a Punch Jefferson through and connected West Sacramento to Broderick. And that was extremely controversial. And we got through it, and I think our community is better for it. So I think the same thing with the Sycamore Trail. And I hope that that we'll pay attention to that Sycamore Trail as it goes through, know that there'll be bumps in the road, figure out how to get past them, but support providing more access for folks in our town to move around in things that aren't 2,000-pound vehicles with large engines. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ahmad.
Jason, thank you again for the wood chips at Stonegate. This is, I think we've called upon you 3 times and you've delivered. The last one being he got a city truck and had the most massive like chip drop. But it's been used really well and we're really appreciative. Jason also helped. I'm the PTO president at Stonegate, and we had some issues with our water being turned off by the school district, and there was a lot of blame of, like, not blame, but some like, oh, it's the city's fault. And thanks to Jason, we were able to figure out that it wasn't the city's fault. And I think that you're a big hero now in the gardening community at Stonegate. So thank you for your patience and for helping us, get through that. And our plants, thank you. We've had a decent harvest. And I also attended the Gateway neighborhood, the check receiving by West Sac Play. So yeah, wonderful job, Aaron. And it was well attended. I was really surprised. It's a small park, but it was a lot of people. Connie had some amazing cookies. My kids loved that part, of course. But you always make it I think that time and again, when you've had these events, my kids have gone with me because they enjoy it, not just for the park element, but because I think everyone's worked really hard to make it a festive atmosphere. So it felt like a really big deal that we had a shade structure going in. My kids were like, normally they would be like, oh, cool, whatever. But, it was a ceremonial, so it felt fun and important. So, awesome, wonderful job there. I haven't been here for a couple of months, so the last thing I can think of before the school year ended also was that Matt had led a bike ride when Bike Month kicked off in May. And that was my first time riding my bike on the trail from Southport to the riverfront. And that was a really scary experience. Like, I think he did an amazing job of like guiding us through. And it was like, 15 people or more? And like there was kids. I had a cargo bike. But it really, I think our city councilwoman over there, Verna, was with us. And she was leading it. She organized it. But I think it showed our leaders that we definitely need more trails, better trails, more adaptive trails. Because I had a cargo bike, thinking about someone that maybe has like accessibility issues. So I appreciate what you did for us in terms of guiding us through the neighborhood. But it's certainly very scary. I have a friend who's a father of 3 kids, now 3, and he lives off of Linden Loop, and he takes his kids to preschool here near Rayleigh's. And I don't know how he does it. I'm always scared for him, but I want to live in a place where I don't want to be afraid for him to be biking his kids across town to go to preschool. And so I would love to definitely see more bike infrastructure and bike education generally. So thank you. So I'm excited. We've had a great summer. My kids have really enjoyed all the different things that interns, everyone has put on. My kids, my friends' kids. So it's been our first like normal summer for my family since pandemic. And it's felt really like full of opportunity of all the things that are offered in the city. So I'm happy to see that, it's lively, it's fun, it's nice. I've been able to attend the Rhythm on the River, but my kids' preschool I'm also involved with as a board member. We've been tabling out there. We're James Marshall Parent Nursery School, so we did like the child, what's it called? Like the kind of kid element or I forgot what the kid zone. I think they call it a kid zone. So it's been awesome to have the city engage us and provide like child activities for kids that are appropriate for families. So again, lots going on, and I appreciate all the work that goes into that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Galvan had one more thing to say.
2 more things. One thing that I did recently is I've been going to the rec center and taking the new dance fitness class. So I just wanted to do a special shout out for them because I really like how you guys are adding more earlier classes. That one's starting at like 7 a.m. So it's been really great. Yeah, it's really good. People who start work at 8 a.m. or at me 8:30 a.m. just to get a nice workout in beforehand. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was that I've met with the president of the West Sac Girls Little League and walked the Alice Norman Fields, just kind of see what's going on over there because he has been at a few of our meetings just to discuss the state of the Alice Norman Fields. And I walked the fields and I was able to notice some things that might need some maintenance and some updates. And he actually spoke at the city council meeting, and Mayor Guerrero had mentioned that maybe, Alice Norman can be something on our future agenda. And I agree with that. Maybe that's something we can talk about in the future, possibly discussing updates to the Alice Norman playfields.
No, Alice Norman will definitely come back in the future.
All right, thank you. I also did attend the Southport Gateway celebration. Parks make life better. Sorry, it's been a long week. It's only Tuesday. It was a wonderful celebration. It was great to see WESAC Play handing over a $10,000 check for our city parks and our shade structures, which is amazing. A huge shout out to our interns who interned with the city this summer. Like I said, I hope you guys took a lot out of your guys' internship and you guys continue to grow as young professionals. Thank you so much for the Heritage Oaks presentation as well. That was really good. I hope the feedback was helpful. And I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Aaron and Jay. Thank you so much for being awesome co-directors and making the process a lot easier for me, and I'm sure for other commissioners, just that much more easier. So thank you so much, and a huge shout out to Paul for just being the guy. Amazing. But those are, and it's also August 1st, so it's National Night Out. So check the city's website. There's different pop-ups going on around the city. So when you guys get a chance after our meeting, hopefully we wrap up soon, you guys get a chance to go out and rub elbows with our community members. But that's all I have. So I'm going to move it to our commission. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, you ran a great meeting. Way to go.
Thank you.
Good for you.